It is 5 o'clock, and I would like to thank you all for attending tonight's council meeting / workshop. If anyone needs to sign up, sign up to speak in citizen comments, please do at this time for our council meeting and also our workshop that will follow our council meeting. We will have invocation. Oh, let the record show all council members are present except all council members are present. We will have invocation by Mr. Don Smith, and we will have the Pledge of Allegiance by Council Member Alvarez. Would you all please stand?
Lord, thank you for all you do for us. We owe you so much. As Christmas approaches, we're going to be looking at presents, good food, Christmas trees, and friends and relatives. But we should not forget the real reason for Christmas, the birth of Jesus Christ. Let's not forget the men and women who serve in our military. Many of them will miss Christmas at home, many for the first time. I still remember the 10 Christmases I missed at home on 6 overseas deployments. God bless all of you and have a Merry Christmas. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, and thank you, Council Member Alvarez. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Council Member Boyd.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
There's a motion by Council Member Boyd and second by Council Member Solomon. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0, and we will be taking a 3-minute break till I can get the citizen comments. Thank you. We're going to call this meeting back to order. Thank you all for your patience. We have a lot of citizen comments, and some residents did email their citizen comments, and we just wanted to make sure that everything we do is legal. So we're going to start with our citizen comments. You have 4 minutes to speak, and you must speak on the items that it's on the agenda, not on the workshop coming up, but this current agenda. So we will start with Melissa Brown. Good evening, you have 4 minutes.
It's much easier for me to see all over here. Thank you. I'd like to start off by saying I owe the mayor an apology for something. There's been a lot of times I've come in here and blamed the mayor for different changes on the agenda, and I failed to look at the governing standards in section 1-20A. The city manager is responsible for creating, processing, and distributing the agenda and agenda materials for city council meetings, and this is very relevant and important when it comes to RS 23-201, the city manager's evaluation and pay raise. Last week, I read the values of the city manager from the website. These are assumably the values that the city council has determined they want to see from our city manager. Value number 1 is citizen engagement. Value number 3 is fairness, and we'll just stop at those two because of time constraints. However, the city council a couple weeks ago made an amendment to your governing standards, allowing for 3 minutes of public comment at the end of the meeting on anything non-agenda related. This is our meeting agenda. At the end of it, there is no ability for citizen comments for that 3 minutes. There apparently was a discussion about it between the city manager and the mayor, but no one knows who made the decision to not include it, even though it was a directive from the council. There was nothing in the motion that was made saying, unless we have 2 meetings in the same night. It just said at the end of each agenda. I think that's important to consider when you're talking about highest ethical behavior. It needs to be determined if it was the mayor's directive or the city manager's directive and which one it was. If it was the mayor, I can give a pass to the city manager. If it was the city manager making the decision, then that's going against something that the council had decided on and voted on as a whole. And then as far as prohibiting the carry of firearms, this is the 3rd time in 2 years the city council has discussed this. Every time it's come up, it's followed some sort of heated discussion. It's been 1, maybe 2 people who feel like they're in fear, but there has never been any actual violence here. I don't foresee any actual violence ever happening here. Killeen is not that type of city. We also have to consider the cost to this.
Excuse me. Please be respectful of the person that is speaking. Please. I apologize for that.
Thank you, Mayor. We've discussed it several times, the cost effectiveness of this and how it is not cost effective no matter how we try to do it. There is the matter of logistics and having not only posting the signs here at City Council, or if you move to a different location for a special meeting or a special workshop, it also would have to be posted at a minimum, the Animal Advisory Board and the Planning and Zoning Committee, anything else that is state required for citizen committees. It just doesn't make sense to do that. And then take more officers off patrol or pay more overtime for them to be there to actually enforce it. These are all discussions that we've had multiple times, and I will end with the fact that every single mass shooting and tragedy has pretty much happened in a gun-free zone. So either y'all get to protect yourselves and we get to protect ourselves, or we put our officers at more risk because there's no one else here and a bad guy doesn't care about the law. Thank you.
Thank you. And like I stated earlier, I'm really just trying to get these citizen comments together. The next person is Christine Wright. Good evening, ma'am. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Kristen Wright. I'm a resident of Killeen, and I am also speaking tonight on item number 10. I'm speaking in favor of prohibiting the carrying of guns at open city meetings. I'm speaking kind of from 2 points of view. One, just as a strong patriotic American who believes in our democracy above all else. And the First Amendment believes that it came first for a reason, not second. I'm also speaking as a victim of gun violence, and I know there are many here who have a particular relationship to seeing guns on display or knowing they're there, and feelings about how that impacts our ability to participate in democracy. For myself, some of you may have even noticed I haven't been here as much recently. It is because it has felt too, the levels of conflict and people purposefully flaunting and displaying guns to intimidate isn't right. And it does impact our citizens. I am one it has impacted. I've personally spoken today with 4 other people in my personal network who used to come, who don't now. I hope you'll hear that and just weigh it against the people who I understand the other point of view, but I'll go back to the First Amendment is first. We don't have a democracy if our citizens can't share their point of view and perspectives, and if we don't feel safe to do so in these chambers, we don't have a democracy.
Mr. Jones? Please be respectful.
You talking about me or Lil John?
Mr.
It's 2 John.
I didn't call you, I was talking to Mr. Jones here. I didn't call you, Bear. But thank you for being alert. Mr. Jonathan O'Cray. Mr. Jonathan O'Cray.
Right here.
Good evening, sir. You
Good
have.
afternoon. How you doing, Mayor?
I'm doing fine, and you,
All right.
sir?
Good to see you.
You too, sir. You have 4
Good
minutes.
afternoon, council, city manager, staff, everybody else that's here, almost like church. I don't have any script tonight, so if I don't finish up, guess what? I'm gonna do an RBI and complete the record on what I'm saying tonight, and it will be clear. It will be, I wouldn't say clairvoyant, but it will have clarity. It will have force to it. So these 4 minutes, I'm without a script. It's an unction inside of me that's telling me what to say right now. And I don't believe, when we talk about PH, the one PH 23-061, where we're talking about ordinance amending chapter 31 of the Code of Ordinance providing for amendments to city, that's not it. PH, what did I sign up for?
That's what I was looking
What
for.
did I sign up for?
You
I signed up for PH. I signed up for, excuse me, ma'am, I signed up for, I got a lot of notes here. I signed up for, excuse me,
Ms. Brown,
2311? Thank
Please.
you, Ms. Brown.
do not yell out anymore.
Thank you. She's just helping me out. That's all she's doing is helping me out. I can use some help in a whole lot of ways. So she was helping me out. Thank you from the audience, the peanut gallery. Thank you. All right. So let's get back on track here in the time that I have remaining. Excuse my voice. I've been screaming like a banshee for the last week or so. So it's stronger now. So if you don't hear me, then this is where I'm gonna be. And if you won't listen, stop listening, or won't hear me talk, guess what else? I'm gonna go army style. At ease! That's the way I'm going. I have questions for you, Mr. Cagle, that you need to answer. All of you need to answer, but particularly, Mr. Cagle, why did you tell that this thing was bulletproof? That was not a need to know.
Mayor, point of order. We need to
Yeah.
get some control here.
Good night. I'm done.
Mr.
We have no freedom today.
Mr.
Control.
Michael
Control.
Fornino. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening. Some questions. We live in a republic, not a democracy. That's just civics 101. A calmer point of reference. Let's kick off what this started. Previous speaker cherishes the First Amendment. Well, that's what a lot of this tension started over. Our restricted First Amendment rights. What we speak about, how we speak, when, and if it's disagreeable to you, especially the mayor. With regard to the Second Amendment, okay, even on one of the most famous nights in question in this chamber, there were people in this room, if you talk to them, they would swear that I had dumped an entire magazine into the ceiling, yelled Yahoo, and ran out into the parking lot. I'm sorry, but that's not what happened. Okay, when it comes to any violence, offers of violence, the record shows, let's step back for half a step here. What started this kerfuffle? A person put an agenda item for citizens petition, something that I think that we should go back to, but citizens petition banning firearms. For what reason? Now, this person who put that petition on the record wants to talk about safety and civility. This is the same person that you folks threw off the senior committee 2 years ago for being abusive and disruptive. I'm sorry, that just doesn't wash with me. I didn't mention names, Madam Mayor.
Mr.
But that's a matter of
Fornino,
fact.
you
Here we
want
go.
to talk about the item?
This
or
is the
just
root
going
cause
af-
of the item.
Just going after people is irrelevant.
Madam
Just-
Mayor,
just
I'm
focus.
done. You see, this is the problem. But where we're talking about the First Amendment,
Just focus.
this is my 4 minutes. I'm calmly, cogently explaining the background of the situation. I'm sorry that there are folks here that can't and won't connect root causes of problems. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is where the tension comes from, okay? The altercation that happened outside. I was a witness to that. Unfortunately, nothing spoils a good story by at least half a dozen witness statements. So where I'm going with this is any of the violence or offers of violence have come from elected officials, city officials, people on committee, basically city officials, just to use a broad brush. I mean, it hasn't gone the other way. We use our words. We're not going kinetic. We're not looking to be violent. We haven't offered violence. And as an email that the mayor didn't bother to respond to, other than received, thank you, yours in service. Yeah, that's what we're getting at. We do not get the engagement. This is words. We use our words, you use your power and authority, and you abuse it. That's where all this tension comes from. Okay, I'm reaching into my wallet. Everybody relax. Okay, I maintain a Class A CDL with endorsements that require state and federal background checks. My recently renewed Texas license to carry, additional background checks. The likelihood that there's anything in my character or my background or anything else that I would start committing felonies at this age are infinitesimal, which means very small for those without a vocabulary. I mean, this is just ridiculous to try to paint us as trying to perpetuate violence. Time and time again, we use our words, you use your positions of power to push back. All we push back is with words. The mayor identifies threats, have that person removed. Why don't we leave it up to the police to figure out who is and who is not a threat? They're trained, they're experienced, they know. When it comes to identifying threats, the fact that they weren't dealt with fast enough or with the brutality that seemed to be in the urgency of your voice last week, officers, okay? Words were used, the police used words in kind to resolve the situation. It didn't go any further than that. We, the people, are not the problem. So that leaves it open-ended, and I think we know where the problem lies.
Thank you so much. Mr. Bill Burkett. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, council members, Mr. Cagle. I addressed this issue, I think, the last time it was brought up, and I spoke with Mr. Adams earlier today. He said that it was last year that we were touching on this, and I'm not in favor of taking away our ability to carry. Obviously, the recent showing of a shotgun and a rifle, yeah, it's gonna get some people a little stirred up, but in all honesty, it's kind of like a barking dog. That's not the one you need to worry about. If somebody means you harm, they're gonna come in here and start shooting. They're not gonna show you what they're planning to do. It's gonna be instantaneous. Mrs. Brown actually brought up good thing. I'm not in favor of banning guns, using this Gun-Free Zone Act, because it doesn't work. It's been around since 1990, and depending on what Google source you go to, between 92 and 98% of mass shootings have happened in locations that were gun-free zones. And actually, some experts say it actually attracts gun violence, because someone is up to no good. They think, well, I'm the only one that's armed. This is going to be really easy. And many times on these mass shootings, the people that commit this have a death wish. They don't want to survive. Their first option is they want to die at the hands of a police officer. And they're not going to go to prison, so if the police don't kill them, they're going to take their own life. I take responsibility for my own safety. And as a good Samaritan, I actually look out for everyone else too. And as I get older, I'm less physically able to deal, physically with a threat. So, I legally carry. I took the course, the background check, the training. So I want to keep that. I'd like to see a lot less drama around here, but that doesn't have anything to do with the violence, the threat of violence, because like I said, these people are just angry, they're just talking. None of these people are going to attack you. None of these people have a death wish, because they enjoy ragging on you people too much to ever consider taking their own lives. That would take away from their fun. So I ask that you go ahead and leave things the way it is, because like I said, it's not going to affect anything. If somebody seriously wants to hurt anyone of you, anyone in here, they have all kinds of opportunities. Coming and going, break time, it doesn't matter. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sean Price. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. And we're on the city council agenda, the normal agenda one, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You have 4 items on there that you would like to speak on.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I got them all confused, so I apologize for my confusion here. I'm going to be as quick as I possibly can. So item 2, 23-194, the towable boom lift. I looked it up, and I can find one brand new, a 2023, for $56,000. That's brand new, with no options. But we're buying one for $71,000 with no options and a $3,000 delivery. Well, with a $3,000 delivery. So I'm kind of at loss at how we came to the decision of buying this one specifically, when we can also get a used one with only 30 hours on it for $23,000. We could save money. So that was my question, is how did we derived at spending $71,000 for no options on something that you can buy from the factory at $56,000, brand new. Same with the 23-198, the carpet. Are we at over 100,000 yards? Because I don't know of any carpet like this at the Civic Center that costs $263,000, you know what I'm saying? Even with labor. So I don't know how much the Civic Center, how many square feet the Civic Center is, but I'm going to ask, what did we pay for the building? The building wasn't over $1 million, but we're putting a third of the cost in carpet, so I'm a little confused at how we're spending this money. Just tossing that out there. And then on 23-201, the 6% raise for our city manager, from $250,000 to $70,000, and all for the reasons of cost of living, is what were all the other staff, what was their raise for cost of living? And did they get the same amount for the merit that he's being given 6% increase outside of cost of living? So I don't know what merits that to get that kind of money. And so that's, where I'm asking is where that merit is, and is everybody else getting the same thing he is? And then on the last one, it needs to be reiterated, 23-211. We are a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy, right? We stand by the Constitution. Yes? Shall not be infringed. It's already been stated that the idea that you're putting us in is in the most dangerous position available to the criminal. Don't do it. Some of y'all carry. Some of y'all have guns on you right now because you feel a threat. Well, we feel the threat from you because you're the ones with the absolute power and physical power of police power. So, it goes both ways. It goes every way. And we should all look after everyone in our city. We are a community. So you should trust me as well as I should trust you. You should look after me and I should look after you because we're together in this game, right? That's what being a constitutional republic is. That's why we pledge allegiance to the flag. United we stand, right? And we do that because of the Constitution and that Second Amendment. We have a right to bear. It's the cover-up that you don't want.
Mr. Price, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
You're
Sorry, I
welcome.
wasn't even paying attention to
That's
time.
okay. You got
Thank you for
passion.
your time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. CJ, and if I mispronounce your name, okay, there you go, Mr. CJ. Thank you.
That's good enough for me.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Good evening. You have 4 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. My name is CJ Grisham. I am a Temple-based Second Amendment attorney, civil rights attorney, and the founder of Open Carry Texas. It was back in 2016 that I was addressing this body, back when Open Carry Texas was first found, to get rid of these signs. And the city council at the time was intelligent enough to do that because they recognized that guns are not the problem. But what I want to do is go into several things that you might not be aware of legally that I really look forward to suing you if given the opportunity. And that is 4615, Penal Code 4615 is getting ready to change. The legislature changed the law where if I have a license, you're not going to be able to block me with your signs. Section B, which was added, says that sections 4603A14, which is 4603, as you know, is places weapons prohibited. Chapter or subsection A14 says in the room or rooms where a meeting of a government entity is held, blah, blah, blah. That's what you're looking at right now. Section 4603A14 do not apply to a person who, number 6, is carrying, 6A, a license to carry, 6B, a handgun, 6B, 1 and 2, in a concealed manner or in a holster. So you will be breaking the law. Now, you might have a year, because this doesn't go into effect until January 1st, 2025, but this law was passed. So you're going to be coming right back here next year, or the year after, and then you're going to be putting the signs back off. Now, I will tell you, since 2016, when I helped to get these signs removed, how many problems have you had in this chamber with firearms? Zero. Now, you've had weak-minded, spineless people who are afraid of the sight of a gun. I understand that. There are weak, cowardly people in this state, in this city. People who look at a gun and they're afraid of the gun, but they don't look at the person, right? They're not afraid of these officers here when they see a gun, because communists don't like guns. That's what it's about. Communists need to disarm the people so that they can rule over them. That's what this is about. I have here the latest DPS reports, the conviction rates for license to carry holders, people who have a license to carry. And it goes through every single penal code stat and how many people were convicted in the general public and how many of those people had a license to carry in the general public. And the overall conviction rate of all crimes is 0.4%. That's the people you're trying to ban guns in this place. The most law-abiding segment of society. Now, I'm going to give you a comparison, and this number's low, okay, and I don't mean to demean law enforcement with this number, it's just a fact. But did you know that the conviction rate among law enforcement is 1.9%? In other words, you're almost 4 times more likely to commit a crime if you're a cop than if you're a licensed to carry holder. But those are the people you're trying to ban guns from. Don't do it. Oh, by the way, last thing, if you do put up those signs, none of you can carry either. There is no exception in the law for any of you people to carry a firearm. Okay, that's a violation of the 14th Amendment if you do, and I will definitely make sure that charges are filed if I find out you are. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Dr. Cochran? Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
RS 23-201, annual evaluation of the city manager. The city council is awarding a ridiculous amount of money to a person who already makes 33% more than any other person in his position. Killeen City Council says the city manager exceeds expectations. If this marginal manager dares to show any compassion of leadership, let him turn down the pay raise and donate that $20,000 to a less fortunate person or family. My only request is that at some point tonight, each council member explain what specific activities the city manager did in 2023 that exceeded expectations. Tell us why he's more deserving of money than your regular city worker, who on a daily basis does do more work than he does by far. What did the city manager do that was outside his scope of responsibility? Please tell us. What action was exceeded? Please tell us. While we're waiting for your response, I wanted everyone to know some comparison pays based on the city manager receiving $270,000. A U.S. senator makes $193,000. A U.S. House of Representative makes $174,000. I think they have more knowledge and training than he does. A one-star general in the U.S. Army makes $207 versus his $270. Again, the city council is solely responsible for helping the city manager make 6 times more money than the average city worker. In my research, I found that the Public Works Department back in 2002 submitted a request for the city council to purchase 3 new garbage trucks. The trucks never arrived. This begs the question, how many garbage trucks in the waste management fleet are currently broken due to lack of money to purchase spare parts or have hydraulic technical issues? Does anyone know how many vehicles in the fleet are actually working? It's also important to note the existing equipment that's used to break down collected garbage has broken rotator blades and continually has maintenance problems. I checked the records of a nearby city that has the same population as Killeen. Their public works department covers the collection of waste from residential homes with a fleet of 22 garbage trucks, using the same type of vehicles as Killeen. It's interesting, they only have 3 inoperable fleet trucks and no problems with their compacting equipment. Can we say the same here at Killeen? Let's discuss the medical care for public work employees in the sanitation department. The city does not provide reimbursement of any preventative care, including tetanus or hepatitis vaccines. City sanitation workers must pay for their own medical care out of their own pocket. Can someone on the city council with 2 nurses, please explain why the city-managed workplace, such as the city sanitation, is rife with potential diseases, and yet there's no preventative care for these folks? Why is basic medical care not automatically prearranged for the screening of potential infections that they get or are susceptible to? Long-term health care needs can be managed if someone on the city council cared enough to spend money towards them versus a city manager who already gets paid too much. Reminder, on a daily basis, the city workers do their back-breaking labor on the outside elements while your city manager sits in his nice, comfortable chair in an air-conditioned office. Let's be fair. Let me put this detail in perspective. The salary increase for the city manager for 2022 and 2024 could have been used to purchase several new trucks. Even though they're on order, we still need more, or at least the spare parts for them. The Public Works Department is servicing a population with outdated service vehicles that have major problems. Garbage trucks ordered in 2002, again, have not yet arrived. Seems no one cares. The city staff have created workarounds for broken equipment due to rotator blades broken, hydraulic problems, and other maintenance issues with their trucks and their machinery. The city council is not helping to preserve any type of medical care for their own sanitation workers. Instead, they've decided to generously give another pay raise to a minimal standard city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Donald Baker.
I would.
Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, council. I am here in opposition to your proposal to ban guns in the chamber. I don't think that my rights should be stopped because somebody is afraid of a gun. No incident has ever happened in this chamber by somebody carrying a gun. And I don't think you can cite me one incident where a individual approached an area to do harm, seen a sign that said no guns, and just wrung his hands and, oh my God, I can't carry a gun, turn around and left. Didn't happen. It's ludicrous to think so, and it's ludicrous for you to think so. As far as those people who get the vapors over seeing a law-abiding citizen carrying a gun, my suggestion to them is just go get professional help, because my rights is not dependent on your attitude. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Leo Gukheisen. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, City Manager. I'm here to talk about the banning of firearms, and I take it so important. See, I even dressed up tonight for it, seeing a jacket and everything on. A lot of people have stand up here and already went over a lot of the information that I was going to go over, so I just want to reiterate a lot of the stuff. The banning of firearms is really, in my opinion, a violation of my rights. I'm not going to sit here and go over the Second Amendment. We all know it. We all have our own different opinion about it. But as a former law enforcement person and 10 years of security work and 1 year working with the State Department in Iraq, I think I'm fully qualified to carry a firearm. I get reevaluated every year because of my commission card that allows me to carry a firearm as a commissioned security officer. So I get background checks every year. But the main thing is there's never been, as stated numerous times before, an incident here in this chamber with a firearm. The only time that we see individuals open carry of a firearm is when there is a topic about it on the agenda. Now, I have been attending the council meetings for over 10 years, and once the signs were taken down, I started carrying. we don't normally see a person carrying a firearm in here openly, unless it's because the council is going to discuss the issue. And that's when the folks that, they have the right to, yes, they do, but that's the only time you see open carry. You know? And as this, the point that this body has made about, the abusive and attacks on this body, and then they have been identified by certain individuals, but not as a whole. So why should we group everybody that is qualified to carry a firearm in that same category to say, no, you can't carry one because we don't feel safe? There's only a few places in Killeen that I feel safe. And this is one of them, and it's because I know that there are fellow citizens that are carrying firearms. Now, I don't go up there and ask them. I can tell by the way they walk, by the way their garments are. But I know they're here, and I trust them. Just like the law enforcement, I trust them as well. You have to take away the right of a person to defend themselves, or as the state law says, to defend others, is very unconstitutional in my opinion. And I just hope that the mass hysteria over this issue does not persuade you when you cast your vote on this matter, because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And by banning a person from exercising their constitutional rights, both by the federal Constitution and Texas Constitution, is not the right answer. There's other ways to get around if you want to have decorum, which I'll talk about later, to get around that. Banning the individual right to protect themselves is not the right way to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guggeitson. Ms. Anka, good evening. You have 4 minutes.
Madam Mayor, Council, I am opposed to the ban on weapons because I think it will be a logistical nightmare for the police to enforce, and it would not make us safer. The police would have to search everyone, including council members. Anytime you leave the room and come back, they would have to search you. I think the ban would be an unnecessary burden on the police, and again, it would not make us safer. I trust that the police have the right training and judgment to determine if there is a threat of violence and take the appropriate action without this ban. Like it happened when a council member threatened somebody in the audience, and that was a real threat. It did happen, and it stopped because the police intervened and a person in the audience intervened. Nobody asked, the council didn't ask the police to intervene. They did on their own, and we were safe. And please note again that there's a big difference between a violent threat and being rude. Yes, some people come up here and they're rude. Being rude is not against the law, and it's not violent. It's just rude. It's unpleasant. It is what it is. And criticizing you is not against the law. I know it doesn't feel good. I don't like to be criticized. Nobody likes it. It's not pleasant, but actually can help you make you better. Going into the audience in a threatening manner is a violent threat, and it was dealt with by police when it did happen. Banning guns in the chambers would send several messages. One is that you don't trust citizens, and most importantly, it would send the message that you don't trust the police. Consider what a ban would do, what it would mean for the police. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Anka, for your comments. Mr. Dan, I don't want to butcher your last name. Brule. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes. Oh, thank you, Councilor Boyd.
My name is Dan Bruliette. I'm not here about guns.
Thank you.
I am here personally to thank the city manager for endless hours and effort in resolution to the architectural, Chapter 31 architectural resolution for the city. It took many hours of discussion, argument, good and bad, but we got it done. And it is what it is, and I absolutely approve it. I think it's the best we can do right now. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Gary Purser. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to speak about the gun issue. I'm a concealed handgun license carrier myself. I do not carry. I understand the argument. I personally am opposed to firearms in the city chambers. We have trained professionals here that are qualified to protect us. I think that it would be mayhem when you take people that every law doesn't fit every scenario. And going to the grocery store or Walmart, that's totally different. But we have security here. We have police officers here that are trained. And if something breaks out in this chamber, and it will sooner or later in somebody's chamber, may not be ours, but it'll be somebody's, and you get all these people shooting, and all these citizens jump up, and they're trying to run for cover, and people are scrambling, and you got bullets flying everywhere, that's craziness. And I don't like that ideal at all. So y'all have a police department, they're trained, and y'all can figure out how to keep us safe in this room while we're here with the resources y'all have. And if you get 6 or 8, 10 people up here blasting away, I've used guns since I was 6 years old, so I'm very familiar with guns. Grew up with guns. But when you get at the wrong end of that muzzle, that's a problem. And people start shooting around here, that's a problem. And the audience is running and scrambling for their life, that's a problem. By the time you pull the trigger, there may somebody cross the line of fire and kill him. So I say that the city gets with the police department, and y'all sit down and y'all figure out how to keep us safe. There's only a couple of points of entry here, and there's other ways to do it. And I firmly believe that people can have a right to carry guns. I don't argue that point. What I do argue is all laws don't apply equally in every scenario. They all apply equally, but not in every scenario. And there's a big difference when we're sitting here with police force here. And I look around at them, and it's like pretty big old boys. And they shoot, and they practice, and they train. And I trust them that they can neutralize the threat. And that's what we got them for. That's their job, and that's why they're here. So I don't like the idea of bullets flying around this room and me being in it. And most of us are going to jump up, and they always say you're going to fight or you're going to flight. And so who are you? You going to fight or you going to flight? A lot of us, I don't know what I'd do. I'd like to tell you what I'd do, but who the hell knows? But if we start running around this room trying to get out of here, and they're trying to neutralize somebody, that's a problem. So I am opposed to bringing guns here simply because of the environment and the police force that we have that can handle the situation. And I trust that they can do it. So that is my stand, and we're all different. I don't argue their point, or I argue it, but I understand their point. They may or may not understand mine. But it certainly doesn't make sense to go blazing around here like the Old West and 18 people are shooting at somebody and all these people are running around for their life. I mean, that's craziness. So I would recommend we don't do it.
Percy, your time is up, sir. Thank you. Mr. Barrett.
I got 6 seconds, Mayor.
No, sir, that's in the negative.
Huh?
It's in the negative. It's in the negative. Thank you for that trying. Mr. Bear Jones. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
I got 4 minutes, 4 seconds, because you got 4 seconds. Good evening, everybody. The mayor, the city council, Mr. Cagle, and Attorney General, and our good secretary. Well, everybody know about everything. We all have rights. Now, a few things you don't know about me, but you'll know it tonight. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I spent 9 months in the field carrying a gun. Killing people is easy for me, but you don't know that because I don't portray that. I have bad dreams at night. Nobody never know. But all at the same time, I come here, I was trained to kill. Plain and simple, I was trained to kill. I'm talking about number 10 in the resolution about carrying weapons in this building. We pay everybody to do certain things in this world. I'm pretty sure that these officers learn how to shoot. They probably start at 25 yards or 25 feet and go up to 3. They run, jump, roll, and all this stuff. Like Mr. Perkins said, is everybody got guns in here, it's gonna be a crossfire. It'll be a crossfire. And nobody's trained besides these gentlemen in uniform. You know who or what area they got, they sector that you had to shoot. In Vietnam, we had sector. In order for our other people not to get killed. Our own safety people. You got to coordinate stuff like that. I'm pleased to know that these officers, they learn how to shoot, standing, kneeling, rapid fire, and rapid reloading. That's pretty good. That's hard. Because when I did stuff like that, it took me a while. They have to make 75% in order to be able to walk around here and protect us overall. So I applaud the policemen. I applaud them. Let them, you pay them the big bucks to do the job, let them do it. Because you're always complaining that we don't pay them enough money, let them do their job. Everybody else got a position in this world. Let them do it. If you want to take over, you go to school. You be a police officer. You stand up. I know these guys get tired of standing up sometimes. They get thirsty. Has anybody ever offered them some water since they've been in here? No. Or, hey, man, you tired? Or how you doing today? That's one of the personal things we don't do. Let those guys do their job. And I believe them. And I know how to shoot just as well as they can. But I don't pack in here. I got guns just like they do. I don't have to pack because I know they're here. Y'all have a nice day here.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Ronnie Russell. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City Manager, City Manager, everybody that's in here. It's been a very interesting evening. I was seated in the back, before I stood in the back. For those that don't know, I'm prior service. For those that do know, you understand why. For those that don't know, served 2 tours in Iraq. I really don't talk about it. Drill sergeant for 3 years. Some of y'all were like, oh, that's why he act that way. Okay, whatever. So I served my time. I've trained various weapon systems, handgun, the M9, 240 Bravo, AT4, all of that. But not every soldier was trained the same way. I don't care what certification you have. I don't care where you've been. People are people. Not everybody's going to have the same ideology and concept. I understand everybody that came up here and everybody that's standing in the back talking about what's going on. Go on Facebook Live. I get it. That's good. That's cool. That's cute. That's pretty. When I was seated in the back, before it got loud and boisterous, my first thing, especially as a senior NCO, put yourself in a position and establish a defensive posture. So my first thing was to get up and stand in the back, put my back against the wall, and establish a defensive posture. I shouldn't have to do that now. I should not. But I'm trained that way. The sad part about it is I'm still connected that way because of what I've done. So I stand in the back. You hear people talk about posting signage and signage is going to cost more money and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's going to cost or exceed the loss of a life. Have anything happened? No. I got it. I'm sure conversations are going to be had in the back about it. But do we have to wait for something to happen to do something about it? The answer is no. So I think the safest thing to do is just put it on a ballot and let the entire city talk about it. So if it could be done that way, do it. I honestly don't think it should be up to you to make that call and then have your constituents blow your email up waiting for a response from you just so they can pull you into a vortex that they already have a sinister way of trying to say, well, somebody said this or you didn't reply the way I wanted you to reply. So if it can be placed on a ballot for the whole city to vote, do it that way. It keeps it safe and it keeps the citizens in the know and it keeps it fair and impartial for everybody. My personal opinion, don't bring it in here. But again, that's my personal opinion. But you have people who have concealed, they have their personal opinion. Let these guys who are trained to do it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Madam Secretary, is there anyone else that turned in a citizen comment? And if you did turn in a citizen comment form before we started, did I call everyone named that had submitted their form prior to starting citizen comment? All right. Consent agenda. Madam Secretary.
MN 23028, consider minutes of regular city council meeting of November 14, 2023. RS 23194, consider a memorandum resolution to purchase a JLG Model T 500J towable boom lift through Central Texas Equipment's Buy-Board Purchasing Cooperative, contract number 68522, in an amount not to exceed $71,226. RS 23195, consider a memorandum resolution to authorize a water CCN transfer agreement with West Bell County Water Supply Corporation. RS 23196, consider a memorandum resolution approving a professional services agreement with Garver LLC for the general aviation terminal building design at Skylark Field in the amount of $461,800. RS 23197, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with Central Texas Alcohol Rehabilitation Center for substance use disorder counseling and treatment services in an amount of $143,130. RS 23198, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the purchase of replacement carpet at the Killeen Civic and Conference Center from McCoy Rockford, a reseller of J&J Flooring and EF Contract Engineered Floors, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $263,392.05. RS 23199, consider a memorandum resolution accepting the FY 2023 BJA Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, JAG Grant, and approving an interlocal agreement with the City of Temple and Bell County. RS 23200, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the expenditure of JAG grant funds to purchase Fusus Enterprise Package software from Fusus Inc. in an amount of $125,000 per year for 5 years. RS 23201, consider a memorandum resolution confirming the city manager's annual evaluation and pay increase.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Councilmember Boyd.
Second.
All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries, Madam Secretary, 7-0. Whenever you're ready, resolutions.
RS 23211, consider a memorandum resolution repealing Resolutions 16-075R and 16-076R and directing staff to post notice to prohibit the carrying of firearms at city open meetings.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Law, Government Code 55.001, the mayor now calls a closed meeting of the City Council on 12th day of December 2023 at 6:05 p.m. Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. The City Council will consult with its attorney and seek legal advice regarding the prohibition of firearms at open meetings. Excuse me. Agenda item RS-23-211. The council will now go into closed session. The council is currently out of closed meeting, December the 12th at 7:00 p.m. All right, council. RS-23-211, what is your pleasure? Councilmember Cigar.
Thank you, Mayor. And after consulting with our attorney, I would like to make a motion just to go ahead and table this item.
Is there a second to the motion to table? Is there a second to the motion to table? Motion failed. Next person, RS-23-211. Do we have any discussion? If not, we need to make a motion to approve or disapprove. RS-23, Councilmember Councilmember Boyd, sorry about that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it would be appropriate just quickly to share sentiments I received from a few residents in my district. One of them said, good evening, Mr. Boyd. I reside in District 4. My concern is unauthorized individuals carrying firearms in council meetings. I honestly feel that anyone attending a meeting in a publicly owned property should not be allowed to attend with a firearm. I don't take this lightly. People should be able to attend meetings and feel safe. There's too much going on today, and too many excuses are being made for those who have murdered innocent people. Please be my voice. Another one stated, hi, Mr. Boyd. I'm deeply concerned with the frequent clashes during the city council meetings. It looks like a few anarchists just want to disrupt the agenda and the productivity of the meetings. The public display of weapons, as well as a display of obscene gestures, exemplify their lack of decorum and the desire to challenge the authority. Deja vu, January 6th. And I'll just speak for myself as representative for West Killeen. I've received text messages, emails from individuals who have concerns about the safety of these meetings through watching them, some who observe these meetings in person, and for what people hear and go verify online. And so I did just want to share that as we go into this discussion. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too have several statements from our constituents. I'm just going to briefly touch on these that they support. Resident of District 1 represents removal of weapons from the City Council chambers in an effort to minimize and mitigate intimidation. Also, greetings and salutations from a member of the NRA who also recommends removal of weapons from unlawful carriers within our chamber. Also, another member that also had same sentiments about prohibiting carrying firearms into open meetings within our city council chambers. And then personally, I just wanted to make my own statement on my own accord, and that was just that I personally feel that banning weapons, open carry specifically, in the city chamber sends a very powerful and symbolic message that the government is committed to peaceful resolution and nonviolent exchange of ideas, and it also reinforces the idea that disagreements should be settled through dialogue and compromise rather than through the threat of force. This commitment to peaceful discourse sets a positive example for the broader community and underscores the importance of civil behavior in our democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, our constituents and everyone and council members, I move to make a motion to amend our city ordinance by adding metal detectors, signage, and having no guns in the chambers.
Is there a second to the motion to amend RS-23-211 to have signage, metal detector, and no weapons in the chamber? Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Motion dies. Councilmember Cigar, let's try that again.
Thank you, Mayor. And we've been here several times, and just most recently, we were here in April having the same discussion, and at that time, the council decided to not move forward in eliminating weapons. And from my perspective, we're here for a reason that really has nothing to do with weapons in itself. You know, we had somebody that was speaking about an agenda item that the council wasn't even talking about. And so I feel that's kind of what started everything. And here we are having a discussion on something that I side with a lot, and it's a tough subject because, you know, you hear both sides, and that's why we're council members, because we hear one side and it makes sense, and then we hear the other side and it does make sense too. But you know, I'm more of, I don't carry a gun. I've never carried a gun up here. Yes, and you never see me out there carrying a gun. I don't have a concealed arm permit or anything like that. But I'm not fearful of anybody because I know we got great police officers that are here. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I think that we're just here discussing something that we shouldn't even have discussed, especially here at the city council. And so I just want to, again, make a motion that just to, at this time, just not do anything with this, just like what we did in April. In April, we tried to move this forward.
What's the motion? I'm trying to understand. She's trying to write the motion, so not to do
Well,
nothing.
and that's where I need clarification, because there's really, you know, the ordinance is already in place, you know, and so I don't need to change the ordinance whatsoever because it's already there. And so I don't know what I need to do just to end the discussion, because apparently, you know, we're not going to go anywhere with this, so my motion is just
But there's other people
to,
that like to talk, so you can disapprove RS-23-211. That would be your motion.
yeah, so that
Okay.
would be my
Is there a
motion.
second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Okay, motion dies. Councilmember Boyd.
Was there anyone else going to speak before me?
Sorry, Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Boyd.
I'm a history buff. Henry Clay was the great compromiser, and although that was at the national level, both sides couldn't agree on something, and we've now seen that happen. Not that I'm saying there's any sides. There was discussion about we shouldn't ban guns because it has never happened. The United States Army, one of its mottos or mindsets is we're prepared for peace but ready for war. And that's not saying we're going to have a war here. Please don't take those comments out of context. You can't take your firearms in a courtroom. Most churches don't allow them, even though we had shootings at churches. I received comments on both sides, and I'm not Henry Clay, far from it. I have, in the U.S. Capitol, there are no weapons. In the Texas Capitol, you are allowed to carry if you are licensed, but you can't take a weapon onto the chambers. And, oh, by the way, and I'm saying we can or will do this, but members of both chambers of the Texas legislature allow themselves to carry. But so in this, you're either right, you're right 50% of the time, wrong 50% of the time, 50% of the time. So I'm gonna give this
come on, everybody else try. Let's see what you got.
So I moved to amend, and
There's no motion. There's no motion.
no, I moved that we restrict open carry of weapons in the chamber, and that will, and doing so, that will at least bring us
So
to a
your
middle ground.
motion is to restrict open carrier?
Open carry of weapons in the chamber.
Madam Secretary, did you get that motion? Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, we back to discussion. Is there any more discussion, or do we just want to vote?
Clarification.
Oh, okay, go back to you, Councilmember Adams. The Councilmember Sagara requests clarification.
What's your question, sir?
Clarification.
For somebody that doesn't carry weapons, what does that mean?
Oh, open carry means that your weapon has to be concealed. And whatever the law, and I guess we will have to post the actual it will be 3007, the Texas law, and whatever's covered under the 4015, I think it is.
Yes, so the signs that would have to be posted to prohibit open carry by licensed holders would be 30.07 notices. And repeal the 16-076 resolution allowing open carry.
So again, just to be clear, if you have a permit and you can carry a
Concealed
weapon as long as it's concealed.
Correct.
I'm okay with that.
Madam City Attorney, so the motion would be for RS-23-211 is to repeal Resolution 16-075R and 6R? Okay, 6R.
Just 16.076R is the resolution open carry,
Right.
so.
And then, so to restrict open carry weapon, we don't even have to have that in that motion? Madam Attorney, we're just trying to get it for the minutes for Madam
No,
Secretary.
the motion is good.
Okay,
To restrict open carry, which you would be repealing 16-076, and then we would by law to restrict open carry post the 30.07 signs.
Okay. Madam Secretary, okay. All in favor? Okay, more comments.
Sure. Excuse me.
Councilman Board.
Thank you. Just for absolute clarity for the council and those here, those watching, first question for the city attorney. Unlicensed carry, as we speak, is that permitted in the council chambers?
No.
Okay. And my understanding, based on this motion, is that concealed carry would be allowed. Is that correct?
If
According
this
to the
motion passes, this motion is only to prohibit open carry, is my understanding.
That's
So
right.
concealed carry by licensed holders would still be allowed.
Understood. Just restricting, prohibiting open carry. Okay. At the end of the day, more citizens, I believe, have reached out to us in favor of us doing something regarding this issue as opposed to nothing. And being a decisive person, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, there was someone in the audience that,
I am looking right now, trying to track that person.
and this is the lack of decorum that we're talking about. But I'm going to
I do
continue.
not know who he or she is,
That's okay,
but I'm
Madam Mayor.
looking now.
I'll give no attention. But at the end of the day, it's important that we do honor the wishes of our citizens. I believe personally this is a balanced approach that Councilman Adams brought forward. Councilman Adams, is a prior military police officer, and so I do take some credit with that. But again, I'm a decisive person, and I think this is appropriate, and I do believe this is a balanced approach. This is not a full ban of firearms in the council chambers, but the restriction of open carry, which I do believe is appropriate at this point. Thank you.
I just have one more thing for clarification.
Okay, clarification.
Because I want to make sure I get this correct here. And so if I get this right, if you are coming in and you have a weapon strapped to you showing, those people would not be allowed, right? Am I correct? We can stop somebody from coming in and showing their weapons and speaking before the council, because I think that sometimes that can look like intimidation there. We don't want that. As long as it's concealed, and a lot of times there's people out here, citizens are out here, carry weapons, we don't even know they're carrying weapons. But when you come out here and exposing it, that can be intimidating. So that, we're going to disallow that, right?
If this motion passes, it would prohibit open carry. And you would continue to allow concealed carry only, and unlicensed carry is already prohibited by law.
Got it. Yeah, and I just, because most of the people that are out here that do carry weapons, I think they are responsible citizens, they get trained, you have to get certified and all that. And so I think that not going through that, I think that's where we got a problem. So I'm okay with the motion. Thank you.
Madam Attorney, an individual can bring any type of weapon into this chamber as long as it's concealed and we cannot see it. They can have it up under their jacket or coat and if they have license, and whatever type of weapon they have, if they have license to carry, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Concealed handgun.
So it's only, okay.
Yeah.
That's important to
Would
know.
be allowed.
So concealed handgun. All right, thank you for the Councilmember Gonzalez. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? All right, great. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Oh, wow. So the motion passes 5-2, and I want to go on record, please don't take that down, until I read it out. Mayor Pro Tem Cobb voted no, and Councilmember Solomon voted no. Thank you, Madam Secretary. All righty, when you're ready, we're going to move on to public hearing. Whenever you're ready, Madam Secretary.
PH 23061, hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance amending Chapter 31 of the Killeen Code of Ordinances, providing for amendments to the city's architectural and site design standards, and amending the building setbacks in single-family residential zoning districts. The caption of the ordinance reads, "An ordinance amending Chapter 31 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Killeen, providing for amendments to the city's architectural and site design standards, providing for amendments to the building setbacks in single-family residential zoning districts, providing for the repeal of conflicting provisions, providing for a severability clause, providing for a savings clause, providing for publication and an effective date."
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Jonathan Okray, sorry, I done jumped the gun. Let me go on to my next page. All right. Any staff comments? Okay. All right. Welcome back, Mr. Revelle. Councilmember Boyd.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, I was ready to make a motion.
Oh, we have to go through public hearing. You
Yes,
did
ma'am.
just what I did, but keep that thought. I jumped the gun too, because this is our last item. I guess everybody like, okay. So, public hearing is open. So I'll make sure I call on you for the motion. Write your name. Council, Melissa Brown, that is your first one for being disrupted during the meeting. That's your first one. That's your first and last one. Officer, please remove her out of the meeting and take all of her personal belongings. You did not say relax. She did. Officers, please remove her out. Please take everything, because she will not be coming back in here. We're taking a 5-minute break. We're now in public hearing. Mr. Jonathan Okray. Mr. Jonathan Okray. We'll move on to the next person. Mr. Dan, I don't want to mispronounce your name. No, he added something. Welcome back. You have 4 minutes.
Madam Mayor, council members, and staff. It's Bruliette. I was 14 before I could spell it, so it's fine. I am here and obviously I want to make a point of thanking your city manager and all of his efforts, as well as his entire staff, to come to this resolution, which is acceptable by the majority of the builders that I have had discussion with, as well as developers. Again, I commend them for their timeless effort, and I greatly appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Anka, welcome back. You have 4 minutes.
Madam Mayor, Council, I'm going to be very brief. I am in favor of approving the architectural and site design standard amendments as presented by staff. As a council member stated last week, it has been a long road, and I want to thank the council for voting to direct staff to meet with stakeholders. That means a lot, and we noticed it. We noticed the effort from certain council members to make this possible, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate the staff for taking the time to meet with us and come up with a compromise, and I support it. Thank you.
And thank you. Mr. Gary Purser? Mr. Gary Purser. All right. Public hearing is closed. Councilmember Boyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I enjoy moving forward with city business, and with that said, the City Council called for additional stakeholder input regarding this ordinance to establish clarity, which was presented with us here today, and it is an effective compromise, so in alignment with city staff's recommendation for approval, I make a motion to approve PH 23-061.
Thank you. Councilmember Adams.
Madam Mayor, I second the motion.
All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Please leave it up. 7-0, Madam Secretary. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Madam Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
It was Councilmember Adams made the motion to adjourn, in between Councilmember Boyd, second the motion. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. We're going to take a 10-minute break to set up for our next meeting, which is our workshop.